What if I told you there's one simple rule that can change your entire life, not just your habits, not just your goals, but the way you interpret your past, how you carry yourself in the present, and how you plan your future? What if this rule doesn't require you to work harder, hustle more, or wake up at 5 a.m., but instead shifts how you see the world, how you see other people, and most importantly, how you see yourself? This isn't a trick. It's not a motivational quote to print on your wall. It's a mindset, one that quietly rewired the foundation of how I live, think, and grow. And once you understand it, you won't see life in the same way again. So what's the rule? Life isn't black or white. It's gray. And everything changed when I started living like that. It's gray is a way of looking at everything not in black and white. It's not just about right or wrong, good or bad. Everything has a blend of right and wrong. But gray isn't just the average of black and white. It's a spectrum with darker and lighter shades of gray. Seeing things in shades of gray means approaching problems from multiple perspectives, with each perspective offering a different value or nuance. Your life, at its core, is defined by how you think. Change your thoughts, and everything else begins to follow. When your thinking becomes more open, more nuanced, more compassionate, your relationships get deeper, your goals get clearer, your past makes more sense, and your future feels more possible. Most people try to change their lives by forcing external change, better routines, new jobs, stricter discipline. But without upgrading your mindset, the lens through which you see all of it, nothing truly sticks. And this rule, this shift from black and white to gray, was the upgrade that changed everything for me. Let's be honest for a second. You've always been looking for certainty. So have I. From the time we were born, our brains have been wired to seek safety. Back in prehistoric times, certainty meant survival. If you knew where danger was, you avoided it. Today, we don't run from lions, we run from uncertainty. And that's exactly why your brain tries to sort everything into categories, right or wrong, good or bad, this or that. Add school systems, corporate structures, and modern culture on top of it, and you've been trained to believe that every decision must have a correct answer, that there's one right way to do life, that ambiguity is weakness. So we grow up terrified of the middle, scared of maybe, paralyzed by I don't know yet. But here's the truth. No one teaches you. Most of life happens in the gray. We make these kinds of judgments all the time. This book had one idea I didn't agree with, so the whole thing must be useless. This job requires strong communication skills. I struggle with speaking, so clearly I'm not meant for it. That person said something rude. I should avoid them entirely. I heard AI lowers your ability to think critically, so I'll never touch it. This video has an AI voice, so clearly it's just another lazy, useless piece of fluff like everything else on YouTube. Let's be honest. How many times have these black and white thoughts stopped you from growing, from trying, from becoming someone new? How many times have they made you feel like you weren't good enough, made you criticize yourself, made you anxious, frozen, or small? We think we're protecting ourselves with certainty. But sometimes what we're really doing is closing the door on everything that might have changed us. That's step one. I'm showing you what gray thinking looks like in real time. If this resonates so far, hit that subscribe button. The next part is where it gets real. Now, let me tell you what happened when I actually started living this way. 1. Accepting imperfection. I started accepting imperfection. When you stop demanding perfection, you finally give yourself permission to begin. This mindset frees you from waiting until everything's just right, and instead helps you start where you are with what you have. You don't need to be fully ready, you just need to be ready enough. That shift alone can save you from years of procrastination. I used to obsess over planning, then freeze at the moment of execution. But when I embraced the gray, I allowed myself to start messy. You're not starting from zero either. You might think you have no idea what you're doing, but you do. You've absorbed things unconsciously. You've practiced in ways you didn't even notice. You're probably at 0.3 or 0.5, not 0. And when you realize that, the journey feels shorter, more doable. This mindset also protects you from self-sabotage. If you miss one day of writing or skip the gym for a week, it doesn't mean you've failed. It just means you're human. Gray thinking helps you keep going. instead of throwing everything away the moment it's not perfect. If you've been stuck waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect mood, or the perfect version of yourself, I promise you, gray is the way out. It's where growth begins. 2. Lowering your ego to be more open, looking at the world and accepting its colors. I lowered my ego and started seeing life as it is. Gray thinking doesn't just help you grow, it helps you connect. When you stop seeing everything as right or wrong, you become more open. You give people room to be complex. And when you do that, you stop judging them so harshly. And here's the kicker, you also stop judging yourself. The more you embrace nuance in others, the more self-compassion starts to grow. You realize that no one is all good or all bad, including you. That person who annoyed you, maybe they were just overwhelmed. That stranger who said something blunt, maybe they weren't trying to hurt you, they were just clumsy. Gray thinking gives you space to pause and understand, instead of immediately defending or attacking. This mindset builds empathy. It allows you to listen more, to ask better questions, to see where someone's coming from, even if you don't agree. And in a world that often feels so divided, that's powerful, that's rare. It also helps you navigate information. Instead of asking, who's right, you start asking, what's useful here? You stop choosing sides and start thinking for yourself. So if you've been feeling exhausted by constant judgment, of others, of yourself, this might be the shift you've been looking for. Gray doesn't mean passive, it means perceptive. It means strong enough to hold multiple truths and still move forward. 3. Acknowledging yourself. I finally saw myself as a whole person. Gray thinking teaches you this. You are not defined by your best or worst moment. You're not just your successes, and you're definitely not just your failures. You're a moving mix of strength and struggle, and that's what makes you human. When you stop putting pressure on yourself to always be your best, you start feeling safe to be real. You begin to accept that you're allowed to have off days, insecurities, things you're still figuring out. And instead of discrediting all the good in you just because of one bad day, you hold the whole picture. This gives you back your power. It gives you the ability to say, I'm still figuring things out, but I've also come really far. You stop obsessing over who you're not and start seeing value in who you already are. When you acknowledge yourself, all of you, you stop needing external validation to feel worthy. You stop chasing the next big thing just to feel enough. You realize you already carry a lot, and that's a confidence that actually lasts. 4. Developing a growth mindset for self-improvement. I grew into someone I didn't think I could become. Gray thinking helps you see potential where you used to see limitations. That quality you admire in others, focus, patience, courage, it might already exist in you, just in a shade so light you've never noticed. But that doesn't mean it's not there. It just means it hasn't been practiced enough to grow darker. Instead of saying, I'm not that kind of person, you start saying, I could become that kind of person. You realize that traits are trainable. Discipline can be built. Creativity can be strengthened. Confidence isn't a trait you're born with. It's something you earn through repetition. This mindset is what keeps you from giving up too early. Beliefs that once felt so fixed start to evolve. The goals you thought were out of reach begin to feel accessible. When you think in gray, every effort counts. Every version of you, even the messy ones, has a role in becoming the version you're working toward. 5. Creating more comprehensive solutions. I stopped choosing sides and found better solutions. Black and white thinking often forces you to reject helpful advice just because it doesn't fully match your identity. That tip works for extroverts, but I'm not one. This habit suits morning people, and I'm not a morning person. Gray thinking frees you from that rigidity. It allows you to say, that part might not fit me, but this part actually could. When you allow yourself to try on strategies without fully committing to labels, you find creative workarounds. You take the parts that resonate and leave the rest, and that's what makes your system truly yours. The result? You grow faster. You get more done. You stop rejecting useful tools just because they weren't made for someone exactly like you. Gray thinking also helps you embrace the both and. You don't have to choose between two ideas that seem to conflict. You can hold space for both. You can be focused and flexible, ambitious and gentle, strategic and spontaneous. Life isn't either or, it's layered. And when you start seeing your options through that lens, your solutions get smarter. You stop asking, what's the right way, and start asking, what's the right mix for me? That's how you build a life that actually works, not just one that looks good on paper. So if this sparked something in you, even just a little, like, subscribe and stick around. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to grow in all our beautiful shades of gray.